The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. And if you're new, welcome. I'm Antonio Perez, joined by my co-host, UPenn's finest, but home for the weekend, Danny Cole, where we however long you're down here.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have another great episode for you guys today. Of course, we're going to do Summits Plummets to open up, but we're going to be talking about some playoff teams who are outside looking in. Which one of these teams could get in and make a run, at least win a game or two? We're going to be getting into that for each conference. Then we're going to be talking about some QB landing spots. There's lots of QBs on the move, and we're going to see what's the best spots. I mean, there's some teams that need QBs, a QB away. There's some teams that are just looking to flip the whole thing around and rebuild. We're going to decide which QBs are best for that. Looking back at Daniel's MVP list from the preseason, and man, it looks a lot different than you'd think. I mean, a lot of guys who just did not have the ideal season. Some people who wildly impressed, and then injuries who caused some people some of their spots. Before we get into any of that, though, like I said, we're going to start with Summits Plummets. I'll start with mine. First year in my fantasy football league, I make it into the playoffs. I did not get a bye week, but I didn't make it. So I think congratulations to me. First year as a GM.
Yeah, your crazy league where people score 275 points a week.
Yes, no defense, no kickers, extra flex, super flex, which means you could start a quarterback. Insane, man. I have Derrick Henry, CMC, Miles Sanders, three of the best fantasy backs this year. So, yeah, I'm balling.
My summit of the week goes to the Philadelphia Phillies. They got Trey Turner, Taiwan Walker. Man, what they're doing in Philadelphia is unheard of because they're just signing everybody and spending the money that they need to do. Something they didn't do for a long time because John Middleton is really just buying in and saying, let's go win a World Series. And I think it just pays homage to literally every old Phillies team. You had bad players such as Aaron Altair and Vince Velasquez and Nick Williams, and players just didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And now you have Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. I'd even throw Reese in there. Like Reese he's in. Like JT Realmuto, I'm best catcher in baseball. There's just so many players who on this team, you look at the team and you're like, wow, there's not a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Drake said, man, it's been a fight. It's been a long fight, and you just got to have a warrior spirit, and that's what the Phillies did. I mean,
speaking of the Warriors, they kind of the Phillies remind you of the Celtics. In the World Series, you go in, and they lose to the Warriors. They lose to the Astros, the team that has been there before. They've done it. They're perennial.
I mean, you get over that hump, though. I mean, you make the playoff run. You get a taste of the World Series. And NBA Finals, you go up 2-1, you win your home games, and you win. That's as simple as that.
The next season, you come back and you're the 1 seed in the NBA. That's what the Celtics are now. But that's actually my plummet because they lost 2 straight.
Yeah, the Boston Celtics have not looked good. They've not been that historic offense that we've been seeing all year. Jason Tatum has kind of slowed down the last two games, which is one of my knacks on him. I mean, he'll have these master classes, but he's due for a dud every week. The greats don't do that. Giannis, he had a dud this week. He still affected the game with his passing and his rebounding. While Tatum is a good playmaker, I would give that edge to Giannis. While Giannis is also the better defender. No knock to Tatum, though. I believe he's having an all-defense season. My plummet, however, would be the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, you go into this year, you have Devontae Adams, who's still having a spectacular year. Renfrow goes down. Waller goes down. You are primed to win this game. Baker Mayfield off two days of not even practice, 2 days of looking at the playbook. Dude essentially put on a game jersey before a practice jersey. Didn't even know how to get back to the locker room. And you lose that game, your playoff chances done. And you won 4 straight. You were getting hot. We were moving the thing, and then you lose. That's just really tough, man.
As another AFC West quarterback said, let Russ cook. They're just cooked.
Yeah, they're cooked. Don't let Carr cook, man. I mean, that guy can't play. But
get out the car. If you're driving, get out the car.
Get out the car. Call the police. You've been kidnapped. But with that being said, Summits and Plummets out the way. Let's get right into our playoff bubble teams. Which of these teams can get into the playoffs and make a run? Now, getting into these teams, we're going to start in the NFC. It's Seahawks and Lions pretty much at this point. No one else is really close. They're fighting out with the Commanders, Giants to try to get those 6 and 7 playoff seeds.
Flex to Sunday Night Football. Commanders, Giants. for that 7 seed, man.
Yeah, essentially, winner of that's probably going to the postseason. It's a shame the
They both might.
Giants are really beat up,
They
but
both might though.
looking at Seahawks and Lions, I know you wanted to make a case for the Lions, and I do agree. I wanted to make the case for the Seahawks, though. I did want to make a case for the Seahawks. If they were to get in, this isn't like, oh, will they get there? It's just if they get in, Geno Smith is playing the best football of his career, and their last couple skidded games have nothing to do with his play. He's been playing still phenomenal, turning the ball over a little bit, but that's no big deal. He's making big plays. You got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, arguably a top 3 wide receiver duo in the league.
I'll take 2 guys. I take 2 over him.
I can think of like a good 3. So arguably a top 5 wide receiver duo in the league. DK is really coming on this year. He's being that good wide receiver 1 while Lockett is backing him up with really good wide receiver 2 play. And I think the dynamic of that offense, despite injuries to the defense and no Jamal Adams on defense and whatnot, I think that team, if they get matched up with the Vikings, I think the Vikings is going to struggle to cover those receivers, those big physical receivers. I think Seahawks have the goods to at least hold down Justin Jefferson with arguably Defensive Rookie of the Year Woolen. And I don't know. I think with that offense, with the matchup they're going to have with the Vikings, who seemingly can't blow anyone out. They seemingly just can't make things easy.
You know the Vikings remind you of? The Pittsburgh Steelers in 2020. They start off, everything looks perfect. You're winning games. Everything looks good.
Barely getting by.
They beat the Cowboys in on the last. Every game's going down to the wire.
Yeah.
And you're losing to bad teams at the end of the year.
I mean, you got destroyed by the Cowboys, and this could have been your make it game. Like, you beat them, maybe we'll take you seriously, but you lose to the Cowboys. I think they're a little better than that Steelers team because they have a true superstar in Justin Jefferson, which the Steelers had TJ Watt, but you're able to make a little more impact as a wide receiver.
We need Juju Smith-Schuster.
Again, a real superstar wide receiver.
We had a star. He might be a star off the field, but
TikTok stars in Claypool and Juju. But I'm going to move it to you so you can make your point on the Lions.
The Detroit Lions are really a team that has turned things around. They started off, they lost to the Eagles week 1, and you're like, oh, okay, they good loss because Eagles were like great now.
Mm-hmm.
But then they start off 1-6. But since then, they're also 5-1. They're 6-7 right now, with their only loss coming to the Buffalo Bills
on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, by walk-off field goal.
And on bad time management. I mean, yeah.
So, the Lions are really just doing everything you can to just win. And they're winning in weird circumstances. They're winning against good teams. They're winning against bad teams.
They can run the football. They can throw the football with Goff. Goff's looking like a 2018 version of himself with Jameson Williams back, who caught a touchdown on his first NFL reception. So good for him. It's been a fight. It's been a journey.
Since January, he tore his ACL. So, man, the Lions, Seahawks, my pick's the Lions to be in the playoffs right now if the Commanders and Giants don't tie again for the second time.
Yeah, and I mean, if the Lions get in, we know they're capable of beating Minnesota. They've shown it.
They did. They literally did.
But I mean, either of these teams I think could beat Minnesota. I think they fare a little better than the AFC teams because as of right now, the AFC teams, if they get in, they have to play the Chiefs. But with this, they play the Vikings, and then sadly they'll have to go play the Eagles.
How unfortunate! Another year where the Chiefs are a 2 seed, and we'll have to play on Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, that's very I mean, that's
more Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
I mean, it's essentially a free win. I mean, a couple of years ago, the Chiefs treated the Steelers last year. Chiefs treated Steelers like a bye week. So I mean, I guess it wins out. But
Jet McKinnon decided to give a wild card to Jet McKinnon. TJ punched the ball free, got a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they were making things happen.
And then Mahomes said, "Hold up, wait a minute."
Yeah,
y'all thought I was finished.
But now we'll move on to the AFC, where we'll see which team between the Chargers and Jets could make a run if healthy and maybe could take down this Chiefs team.
As we saw, the Chargers against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football the first time was a show. And that was with Herbert playing with cracked
ribs. Yeah.
And it was a show. Bosa was healthy. And the teams were just dogfight.
Both games were really good. Both games were really good.
You add a healthy Bosa back to the Chargers mix, against the Chiefs. Man, it's a good one.
I think even if it ends up being the Bills, the 2 seed, or the Chiefs, the 2 seed, whatever the case may be, the Chargers just simply have a better case than the Jets when healthy. If the Chargers are healthy, they can rock with anybody. You just seen what they did to the dynamic Miami Dolphins offense. I mean, Tyreek Hill, outside of a couple busted plays, I mean,
Michael Davis, whoever you are, was locking down the 2 fastest players in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, Asante Samuel was getting really physical. It looked like he had a bounce-back game. But this offense, I mean, despite their play caller not really giving them chances downfield and all this, Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they make things happen. Mike Williams is the best receiver on this team. This kid, there's not a jump ball this guy can't get. That's the thing about him. He makes these crazy jump ball catches, but he can't
go in and out.
Yeah, no. But the main reason I really want to pick them, Joey Bosa coming back. Some quick numbers with Joey Bosa. He's only played in 2 games this year. He got injured in week 3. In the 2 games that in which they had Joey Bosa, rushing yards allowed, only roughly 75 yards per game. That's very good. That would be good for one of the top in the league. Without Joey Bosa, the last stretch or so from week 14 to week 3, they let up 147 yards a game. Their rushing defense is 28th. Such a big difference that the Bosa brother makes, and he's not even the best Bosa brother. What a family! But Joey Bosa is going to be a huge gain for them. That's stopping Jet McKinnon out of the backfield and the Kansas City bevy of running backs. And they just picked up Melvin Gordon, but he's not going to play. Former Charger. But I think if it comes down to who we expect to beat the Chiefs or the Bills, I think we both have to go Chargers. But do you have a case for the New York Jets to beat either of these elite teams?
I think the Bills lose in one of these last 4 games. I think the Chiefs take the 1 seed. They both are 10-3 right now. The Chiefs' 3 losses came, 1 against the Bengals, 1 against the Colts, which is a bad loss in overtime, and 1
I don't think it got there
against the Buffalo Bills. I might not get to overtime, but
3
teams where it's all within 1 score, I believe, or it's a really close game. They had 3 points lost against both the Bengals and the Colts, and then I believe the Bills game was pretty close until the end.
Yeah, I mean, all the games were good. I mean, their losses against the other juggernauts of the AFC was really good.
If the Chiefs play anywhere near a perfect game, there is probably the Philadelphia Eagles would have to play a perfect game to, I think, beat them.
Yeah, but I mean, with the Jets would have to play a perfect game to match with any of these high juggernauts. I mean, they did beat Buffalo early in this year with Zach Wilson playing quarterback, but then you've just seen they played in a snowy Buffalo. I mean, it's going to be ain't good. If they have to play Kansas City, it ain't going to be like, it's going to be a little bit warmer, but it's not going to be great. It's going to be cold in January.
I don't know if you saw the Miami Dolphins brought heated benches to SoFi.
Yeah, in 55-degree weather, which is a nice, cool night in LA. Yeah. Really good weather anywhere.
If they're going to Buffalo next week.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to struggle.
If we're talking about teams being out, the Dolphins are two losses out away, which they play the Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots still. They're 2 losses away from sending their asses back to Miami.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I mean, if the Jets find themselves in the playoffs in that 7 seed, I can't see them beating Buffalo or the Chiefs. I mean, look, their defense is astounding. They had a good run game with Breece Hall. I mean, it's still I would say above the pack in the NFL. But their quarterback play, it's not trustworthy. I know Mike White has looked better than Zach Wilson, but it's not saying a lot. I would definitely give the lean to the Chargers, mainly because the offensive unit is better, despite the play calling. They have Justin Herbert. They're about to get Joey Bosa back. That's going to completely change the defense. And I don't know the timeline on Derwin James, but I mean, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, that defense got some guys, plus with Asante Samuel Jr., making on the comeback. I mean, yeah, look out for this Chargers team. If they can get into the postseason, they are the one team, I think, of any of the wild cards that could give Chiefs a run for their money, besides the Bengals, who are still in the wild card because the Ravens beat Danny's Pittsburgh Steelers. But
we're going home. We're staying in Pittsburgh.
Long story short, it's over. It's Jover. It's Mahomes.
If we win out, I believe we have a 7% chance of making the playoffs.
You never know. I mean, 9-8, there's going to be a lot of teams finishing 9-8. But with that being said, we're going to get into some free agency quarterback landings for next offseason. Don't want to miss this one. There are roughly, I think there's a good 16, 17 quarterbacks heading in the free agency, like notable guys you'll know. The ones we want to focus on are Tom Brady. We want to focus on Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones. We'll talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, Lamar Jackson. So 5 guys.
It's funny that Lamar Jackson was the 5th guy on the list, not the 1st or the 2nd.
I mean, I was just naming off guys. But we can start with Lamar Jackson. I believe he's getting franchise tag. I think we can both agree.
He might not. He said he's not playing for it though. Like he's not going to play on the tag.
Well, they'll play on the tag and then maybe work something out. But if they were not, what team could you really see him going to? I know this is kind of out of the picture. Like, oh, Tua is the guy. Look, man, we don't got time.
It sounds crazy.
Look, Dolphins don't got time, man.
He might not go to the Dolphins. He might go to a different team in Florida.
To the Bucks?
If Brady leaves, I could see him going to the Bucks.
I want elaborate more on that. Why that would be a good fit.
He literally, they have no run game,
and the interior line's bad.
Interior line's bad, but
banged up.
They have really good receivers.
Yep, Mike Williams, Godwin.
His receivers, if he went to the Bucks, would clear anybody. But one thing that's crazy, my real pick for Lamar Jackson, if he leaves, is the New York Jets. That team becomes the scariest team in the AFC East with Lamar Jackson.
I think that would be a good team. I mean, getting Breece Hall back would be extremely dangerous for the read option RPO game. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Elijah Moore, who hopefully is still there. If you heard Lamar's coming in instead of Zach Wilson next year, I think he'll be okay. I really do like that pick. I want to elaborate on the Dolphins one. The Dolphins, we don't got time, man. I know you think you're young and look, you're really bought in on Tua. That's great. Lamar Jackson is one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah. Tua, you're cool, but could you imagine Lamar Jackson with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and this run game with Mostert and Wilson with Mike
it's his hometown. It's his hometown. He's from Miami.
That would have to probably require a trade though, in a swap of Tua and Lamar. So in terms of strictly free agency, I think he should go to New York. While his wide receiver situation Sterling Shepard will be coming off of an ACL.
I believe the Dolphins do have the Niners first round pick, so they still have some capital.
Yeah.
After trading everything away for Tyreek Hill.
But going to New York, I mean, they'll have cap space this year. I mean, will they re-sign Saquon Barkley? It's hard to tell. He's been an absolute unit this year. He's gave them a reason. Let's just say they do. Barkley and Jackson is the best backfield in the NFL. You have a top 5 running back. You have the best running quarterback in the game. That's an absolutely dynamic team.
And they're going to sign Odell.
And if they could draft a really good receiver, if they could draft JSN, if they could pick up a wide receiver in free agency, I mean, that could be huge. If you could get Lamar, pair him with his Diggs, with his AJ Brown,
with his Kenny Galladay.
Oh my gosh. If Kenny Galladay gets back to his Detroit self, then maybe. But I think Lamar to the Giants makes sense. But we can switch over to the current Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is probably at least signing a prove it. I think if you give him a 2-year prove it deal, where that is going to be, I'm not sure. But a place I do like is Los Angeles. With Matt Stafford's, he might have to get a surgery that could, put him out. Or I believe if he doesn't get it, it could end his career. I'm not really sure what that is. But they don't really have a lot of first round picks. You kind of just want to make something work. I think if anybody could turn around Daniel Jones' career, Sean McVay, if he doesn't retire. And you have some weapons. You still got Kupp. I mean, you got Allen Robinson, who hasn't been used to the fullest extent this year. But I think that's better than what Daniel Jones has been working with. You know what I mean?
Much better. It's 10 times better. Yeah, I really think Daniel Jones could possibly go to the 49ers. He might back up Trey Lance. He might have to be able to come in and compete to start. I mean, we really haven't seen what Trey Lance has done. But I think the most realistic option for Daniel Jones is the Giants are going to say, hey, you earned it if we make the playoffs. You've earned a spot to be the Giants quarterback. And unless Daboll's like, yeah, we're going to go get Bryce Young and trade up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the Niners because, I mean, there's so much competition as it already is. I mean, Brock Purdy just had a pretty good start. Not to jump the gun or anything, but that's 2 of your backups who are starter capable, along with your number 3 overall pick who hasn't really got to show,
what's going on,
what's he got. And I think they'll still rock with him. They give up a lot of capital for him. You got to give him a shot. It's not like he's played bad in what we've seen from him. Daniel Jones, if they weren't to get Lamar, I think the New York would resign him, maybe like a 2-year prove deal. But yeah, I do like Los Angeles for him. Now moving on to
Tom Brady.
We're gonna move Tom Brady first. All right,
Tom Brady.
we'll go Tom Brady first. Me personally, I would really love for him to go to the Jets. They are a quarterback away. Good defense, good run game, good receivers, good offensive line. I just think they're a quarterback away. And I think him, even at this stage in his career, better than whatever they got. They just need someone who's smart. You just got to protect them, give them a good run game defense. It's almost like it's New England all over again.
That's really my pick is the New England Patriots. If you can go get a proven quarterback, pretty familiar to your franchise, right?
Yeah.
Won 6 Super Bowls there?
Probably get Edelman out of retirement too.
You could get Gronk out of retirement.
Get the gang back together. Maybe call Wes Welker or something. But it'd be a little disrespectful to Mac Jones.
I don't care.
I don't know how you – yeah, I mean, I know you don't care. But you sit down your first-round quarterback and be like, hey, you're just going to have to chill for 1 year while, Tom Brady cooks up and brings us Super Bowl number 7 and his 8th. But, I mean, it's not I think both are a good situation, Jets and New England. I think those are really good situations for Brady where he can just get plugged in and they got a shot at a Super Bowl because of the surroundings, the pieces around him.
If a 46-year-old Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl, what does this mean for the sport of football?
I mean, if you protect your guy long enough, and he takes TB12 supplements, he'll be around for a long time.
I don't know if you saw this TikTok. There's a guy, he snagged Tom Brady's water bottle. He's drinking the juice, and he said it tasted disgusting.
I bet it did. I mean, I don't know what's in the TB12, anti-aging cream, and all the other stuff. But
a lot of stuff.
Moving on to one of the youngsters, Baker Mayfield, the current quarterback of the Rams, came in, won a game, comeback game. Where could he end up this offseason? I'm going to say the Colts as a bridge quarterback, maybe a 2-year deal. The Colts, they aren't competing anytime soon. They don't got the roster we thought they did. But, I mean, he'll go in there with a new play caller, hopefully someone a little more capable than Jeff Saturday, and maybe work with Michael Pittman. You got Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
It's not a team to make the playoffs. I think it's somewhere where he could showcase that I can still play and maybe get him a job elsewhere while the Colts maybe draft a quarterback and just work from there. I can't see them running it back with Matt Ryan.
I think you can do.
If you want to hang out with Sam Ehlinger, by all means, be my guest. But
he might be in Pittsburgh back in a Kenny Pickett.
Elaborate. I like that.
If Pickett's probably got a 2-year timeline. He's 25.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get until he's 26 or 27. And if he really stinks that bad, the Steelers going to give Baker a call and say, hey. But the only problem is they have Mitch under contract already. Mitch might get cut. His contract's small.
He's no good.
He's no good. There's no downside to cutting him. You're going to lose $3 million cap. Wow, okay. That's nothing.
He's just rather unimpressive. I mean, there's nothing.
I'd rather take any rookie next year rather than Mitch.
Yeah, and then Baker does turn the ball over a lot, which Mitch does as well. But Baker has a lot more zip on the ball. I mean, when Baker's balling with the play action and the intermediate throws deep down the sideline, I mean, he is really good. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl level quarterback when he can do that, get him in the right system. However, Matt Canada's got to be gone for this to happen for Baker. I like that landing spot. Yeah. I mean, the former Brown ending up on the Steelers. Who would have ever written that?
Baker's been given the worst possible story. He was drafted into the Browns, who were horrible, the worst team of all time. And then he went to play for Matt Rule, who is probably the worst NFL head coach in the last 10 years.
Yeah, he's very bad. But moving on, Jimmy Garoppolo probably won't be with the Niners next year.
Gucci Garop.
I'll say that. I think you could find him in a backup role. So I don't know who would start him. Maybe the Colts would start him. I would like him in the backup role to Mac Jones. I would like him back. Bill Belichick wanted to keep Garoppolo. He wanted to send Brady off, keep Garoppolo, which questionable decision. But I think Jimmy G could back up Mac Jones. I mean, it's a lot easier pull if Mac Jones isn't playing well.
You know how good the Jets are with Mac Jones, with Jimmy Garoppolo?
I mean, the Patriots, you throw in a guy who's familiar with the system, familiar with Belichick, a guy who Belichick wanted. You got to be a certain type, white, for Belichick to want you. And I mean, I think that would be a good spot where he could back up a little 2-year deal. But if he wants to go somewhere to start,
Jets.
I mean, the Jets, the Texans, maybe
The Raiders.
The Texans will probably back up Bryce Young. The Raiders, maybe. I actually like that one. Elaborate on the Raiders.
The former offensive coordinator he goes in. McDaniels, head coach of the Raiders now.
He'll have Adams, Renfro, Waller.
Here's the thing: he's proven he can ball when he has weapons.
Exactly, and a good system. I mean, he can get you to a Super Bowl.
Man,
the Raiders just don't got that 49er defense, though. I mean,
they got the I don't even know. Swiss cheese defense. I don't know.
They got that Packer defense.
Packer Swiss cheese.
They got the Green Bay defense. But with all those quarterbacks out the way and in their spots, we're going to be going to his preseason MVP list, and we're going to see what was he coaching.
I was going to start with honorable mention. We'll go work up to one. Honorable mention, I had TJ Watt, Nick Chubb, not Nick Chubb.
Little typo.
Nick Chubb. Jonathan Taylor, where did he go? Cooper Kupp, he looked like he was about to have possibly MVP season and decided to go
down to injury. Rams aren't good.
And then I have the MVP favorite, as we noted on our Instagram, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has been balling this year, but go from 10-1 on the MVP list.
10-1. Number 10 is Kyler Murray. We all have seen Kyler Murray. Last night he tore his ACL, probably. It's a shame. He has been actually hooping. He's carrying the team.
The only reason the Cardinals even have 4 wins. They got one with Colt McCoy, but
he's carrying the team, and it's really, really. I would say he would be on somewhere on the MVP list, but it's just a shame because he's somewhere in that range. Like he might be an honorable mention, because that team is bad. It's like if you're talking about value to the team, this team is like one of the worst all time without him. Number 9, where I got cooked. Or where I could say where he got cooked, I put Russell Wilson. It's just like, dang. I didn't put Zach Wilson. I put Wilson. But
we'll assume either of them would be bad.
Yeah, but then Garrett.
Let's just listen off 8 through 9 or 8 through 1. Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and number 1 he had Josh Allen. Preseason hindsight. It looks very good.
This is in June.
I wrote up a list.
It's actually in June.
I wrote up a list of my own. I gave Danny 3 points to where it aligned with mine and 1 point if it was within 2 spots. This is currently not like what I predicted because I would never be able to predict this. He gets a point for Josh Allen. I have him currently at 3. I have him sitting behind Hurts and Mahomes. Mahomes, he gets 3 points. So you're up to 4. Mahomes is in my second spot.
Yeah.
He gets another point for Joe Burrow. I have Joe Burrow at the 6th spot. That would be a lot lower than most people. So that's another point. He's up to 5. Lamar, same thing. I have Lamar behind Burrow, Lamar behind Burrow, which is at 7, which gives us another point. We're up to 6. And I gave him a +1 for having just even talking about Jalen Hurts because everyone expected improvement. Who would have expected this? I mean, he's playing the best football of any quarterback right now, leading the best team in the NFL. So overall, he would get a 7 out of 10 if I had to grade it. This isn't a bad list. Obviously, you have some duds. Russell Wilson is a huge dud. King Henry, that's sort of a dud. I mean, I don't know. Justin Herbert, he's not a dud due to his circumstances here, but in terms of value, I mean, he's huge for that team.
Like,
it's not horrible. And Brady and Rodgers.
If I were to say value for his team, he'd probably rank around 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. And then Brady and Rodgers, unfortunately, Father Time struck you.
Brady's not playing bad.
Yeah, I mean, but it's hard when you're an old guy, interior lines banged up, and receivers aren't creating separation. You have a horrible run game. I mean,
the Chargers remind me. The Chargers are oddly similar enough to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I mean, you got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who've been compared their entire careers as around like those 7 to 10 area range wide receivers. Mike Williams, good jump ball guy.
Think about this: you got a in and out route guy, Godwin and Keenan Allen. You have your jump ball guy, Evans and Mike Williams.
Mm-hmm. You have a horrible run game. You use your running back as a receiver. Then you got the tall, statured quarterbacks, except Herbert. Herbert can run, and I think that really makes a difference between these teams and their success. But in terms of the MVP list, man, it's not bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, Father Time struck on 2 of your candidates.
Father receiver struck on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean Christian Watson finally balling out, but little too late. And of course, I mean Russell Wilson. Who would have ever thought? Like maybe he wouldn't have won the MVP.
He had a really good game last week before he died.
Last week. I mean, well, too late now. I mean, you were out of the playoff. You were done.
He threw a pick six against. Well, they still have to keep playing. They don't have their first.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You might as well just play for pride. If you want to sit Wilson, do what you want. See what you got with some of your younger guys. I mean,
see what you want to do. But like, here's the thing, though. Well, they have to sit Wilson. He has a concussion. But how do you protect him for next year and you hope he just bounces back?
Hard to say. I mean, they won't have Nathaniel Hackett. So
here's what I'll say. I think Sean Payton come in this Denver job. But like, what established coach wants to go into Denver? You have a 34-year-old quarterback that's tied up $45 million a year. You have no first-round pick next year.
Yeah,
you just traded away your star edge rusher.
You're just gonna have to ball out.
Wait, they got the Dolphins first, right? For Bradley Chubb, maybe. I believe they did. But, so they might have the Dolphins first. But that's gonna be
the greatest pick. I mean, yeah. I mean, if Sean Payton goes in, he's gonna work with Judy Handler, Sutton. If they resign Judy, that is.
There's an interesting coach I like for them. He's not an offensive mind. There's two coaches actually. One being the Philadelphia Eagles, Jonathan Gannon, and the Eagles would gladly say go away.
Yeah, he's a little hit or miss there.
And number two being Brian Flores.
I think that could work out for their defense, but their defense doesn't really need help.
The defense doesn't need help, but I think bringing that established coach in that can prove that he can win football games, because the Dolphins went 11-6 and didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, who would have predicted the Wilson downfall to see who wants the Broncos job? But I mean, with the other names on that list, I mean, Allen's up there. I mean, the couple string of bad games and the Bills losing, that kind of puts him out a little bit. Mahomes is right in that second spot, I believe, behind Jalen Hurts right now. And then Joe Burrow, I mean, a little low on his list, but Joe Burrow's been balling out this year. I mean, credit to him. He's probably, I would say he's third or fourth. I mean, he might have leaped Allen already.
I got a question for you. Did Burrow, we were talking about this way earlier in the spring, did Burrow narrow the gap between him and Herbert?
No.
Not in the slightest? Not for you?
We're looking at the same situation we did last year with Herbert dealing with the banged up receivers and Joe Burrow having the best wide receiver duo in football. I mean, look.
At some point, you can't really knock Burrow for it, though, right?
I'm not knocking him.
I know you're not.
I'm not knocking him for it. He's not better than Justin Herbert.
I know what you're saying. You're crediting what Herbert's doing with less.
It's the fact that we're even having a conversation while, I mean, Justin Herbert has one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league, given the weapons that he has, weapons that can't stay healthy, no run game, a horrible defense. As soon as Bosa or Derwin James goes out, outside of the Sunday night game where they held Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in check with some backup defensive backs. But
okay, one other name I'd like to talk about on this list, TJ Watt. So if I'm talking about impact that he makes to the team, in games that he's played this season, week 1, where he played against the Bengals, they won.
Mm-hmm.
He came back against the Saints after tearing his pec in 6 weeks, right? He came back in November, and they played the Saints. They won. They beat the Colts.
All winnable games. Yeah.
They lost to the Bengals in a shootout.
It got ugly near the end.
They beat the Falcons, and then they lost to the Ravens, and that was not the defense's fault.
Yeah,
they put up 14 points. TJ Watt, his impact to the Steelers is insane.
Yeah,
so I'm talking about value to the team. TJ Watt really just does.
In terms of value, yes, but I mean, he's not healthy to be in the conversation.
No, it's not even anywhere near the conversation. But I thought he was going to come back and play the whole season, be healthy, and probably drop a 25-sack season, but it just wasn't there. It's fine because he's still really impacting the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of other defensive guys like Parsons and Bosa who are really in the conversation just due to them being healthy. I mean, I think TJ could be in that same situation, but his team's also not being as successful. But with all that, looking at the MVP list, looking at the QB landings, looking at which teams could end up making a run, that is the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Download on your favorite platform, wherever you listen to your podcast, find them. where that may be. Danny, you have anything to say before we go?
No, stay tuned. We have this GOAT right here. We have another GOAT over here. It's Lionel Messi. He plays at 2 p.m. today that we're recording. We'll see what he can do in the World Cup. Can he get to the finals for the first time in his career?
We're hoping so. All GOAT stuff. We're rooting for Messi with Ronaldo out and Neymar's out. We're hoping
Messi versus Mbappe.
Yeah,
Let's get it done.
I mean, it's going to be a passing of the torch which France destroys. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.